Hey guys, Greg Silverman here for CIOs and Bow Ties. This is our weekly update, our weekly roundup. So let's give the market all its kudos and credit where credit is due. It's definitely gone a lot higher than I expected it would, and I assume some other people had expected. Basically triggered us off onto a short-term buy opportunity. So some areas that we're interested, one area we're really interested in and have been for a long time is aerospace and defense. Some of the aerospace names have really got roughed up in the sell-off, and so we're putting a small amount in there, thinking that they will play a bit of catch up. So just FYI for your information, not an investment advice. Talking about shipping airlines, let's look at some statistics. Shipment value in US in April was down 22.7%. That's a whopping 22.7%. That includes truck, rail, and air. But most importantly, that was the 17th consecutive month year-on-year decline in transportations, which is why we've been saying there's been weakness economy for some time. Obviously, the constituents of what was shipped changed from business to business type shipping to more to business to consumer type shipping. Interestingly enough, constituents also changed in the housing market. So first of all, the first thing we noticed around Corona was a lot of people yanked inventory off the market. The only people who remained sellers were those who thought prices would go down further or who really needed to sell. On the demand side, there was still strong demand as mortgage rates came down even further. And so strong demand there. And but we did see a change in the type of property. So on the residential side, people had before preferred open planning. Now they preferred more of a segregated type plan where they could go somewhere for a bit of quiet, for a bit of schoolwork, for a bit of home office work. We also saw exposures to the major metropolitan cities decline a little bit as people preferred the Nashvilles and the Charlottes of the world to the smaller cities for more cheaper and a better type cost of living, better quality of life. Another area we noticed a shift, as we had mentioned before in a Morning Brew video, was around the ascendancy of India versus China, specifically in fintech, venture capital. We saw India pick up quite a bit in Q1. They received 421 million in funding versus 215 in Q4. That's versus China, which only received 178 million in funding versus 291 million in Q4 2019. So China dropping off precipitously, specifically in the fintech VC space. We think India can be very, very strong given its English language, its computer-centric education system. So we're great bulls there on India, and we think that trend continues. James Eagle is a podcast we did. James is a fellow in the business out of Zurich, and he speaks to us about creating content for private banks, financial advisors, asset managers, what people demand out of their content. It's a great interview. We'll put a link down below. You can check that out. If you need content, James is your guy. He's really creative and does some wonderful work, which you will see as well on those links. And finally, we're announcing our eSports e-gaming Bootcamp. So we've been investors in that space for some time, and we've learned quite a lot, and there's a lot more we can do on the research side, but we've had a lot of questions from folks about investing in e-gaming, eSports, and now online gaming as well. And so we're going to do a boot camp, and we're going to bring in a fund manager who specializes in that space to educate us on the space, the segments, the valuations. We're also going to bring on a fellow I know who's been very successful in doing roller acquisitions in that space. So again, listening to him, what he looks for, what the valuation metrics are concerned, the different segments he looks for, and how he structures his transactions, most importantly. So I think you'd get a lot out of that boot camp. We'll learn a bit about the financing of these companies and how they're growing and how to source them. We're going to be introducing that. There'll be a link down below. You can read more about that. Anyway, that's our weekly summation. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back and see us soon. Greg Silverman out.